Y'all ready to blaze away or what?
The Tekken 8 demo has been available for about a month now. You can play the story, at least chapter 1 of it. There is some sections that's cut out so you don't get the full experience, but you do just get a general look at what chapter 1 will hold. At the end, there's this weird section where you have this character walking through a cave. They're looking at all these carvings and paintings on the walls of demons and monsters and people bowing down to them. And then it cuts over to like all of these ancient books. Super old text that depicts samurais fighting demons and gods and what is happening. We all had so many questions about this. I dedicated a whole video and just break it down the real lore in there because there's a lot of like crazy Mishima stuff in there. You can even see evidence of this with Reina's fighting style. She has a ancient Mishima fighting style. Her fighting style probably comes from all of this stuff as well. So you can kind of see just how everything is kind of tying together. But the question is, who is this guy? Who is this person? Someone asked Harada this question pretty much on the New Year's. Harada wouldn't give any hints at all. He says buy the full game and find out for yourself. Now on the other side of the internet, Maximilian, the great Maximilian, was just spoiling everything. This guy gave us the answers and he said this is 100% Leo's dad. Shout out to all the people in the comment section who was spamming this. I ain't gonna lie, you guys had me upset because I didn't want to know until I played the game. So I was a little bit salty, but hey, when Maximilian spoils something, he gets a parade. When I spoil something, death threats. But regardless, saltiness aside, this character is basically Leo's dad. But what does that mean? Just saying like, oh yeah, it's Leo's dad. Like, who's Leo's dad? How does this connect into the main story? What does this have to do with Kazuya? Hey, that's what I want to try to tackle in this video. Is like, who's Leo's dad and what does it mean in terms of Tekken? Looking at his Wikipedia and the mom's Wikipedia and Leo's and just having a good understanding of Tekken 8's story, you could kind of put the pieces together and see what they may be conveying to us. But first you got to start with the character. The character is very simple. The two main takeaways for him is one, he's married to a genetic researcher, Emma Kliesen. That's Leo's mother. We'll get to her in a second because she's a big part of this whole thing. And then also he's the father to Leo. His main job or goal or hobby, he is a German archaeologist and a splunker. This person just analyzes super old artifacts. And then the splunker, I didn't know what this meant, but it's basically someone who walks, climbs in caves as a sport. They just love the exploration. And Leo's dad, for him, it was a hobby, but then once he started to discover what he discovered, it became deeper than that. He found a purpose in life and he felt like he had to do more than just explore. Now, of course, before things got super serious, when Leo was very young, you of course see the art where he was bringing her along and she basically was like brought into that life as well. All of his hobbies and traits is kind of passed on to her, but also his demons, his mission, his journey, all of that stuff is passed on to Leo as well. We'll get to her in a second. Now, somewhere along the road, his hobby of researching caves turned into like a very serious mission. He went from just having fun to researching the Mishima Zaibatsu, one of the most dangerous entities in the world of Tekken. To speak to how dangerous they are, you gotta mention the mother, Emma Kliesen. This character is considered deceased in the Wikipedia. This character is a former Mishima Zaibatsu genetic researcher and also a G Corporation genetic researcher. Basically one of those scientists that you never see, you never hear from, but they're turning all the wheels in the organization. When Emma was working with the Mishima Zaibatsu and Heihachi, she was more so trying to create super soldiers, a super army. She was very heavily involved in the whole experiment that Nina Williams went through. Using the eggs while she was cryogenically frozen, that eventually was turned into the character Steve Fox. A very dark history that this character was a part of. The research program continued for many years and involved the death of many children who failed the early experimental process. Not only that, but she was the scientist in charge of observing Steve Fox. This is one of the only known surviving experiments of this whole entire program, and we can see how much Steve Fox loved her, looked up to her as a mother. He viewed all the other scientists as enemies except for her, and that's because she really made a connection with Steve Fox. She's seen him as a human rather than just an experiment. This actually got her into some trouble because her superiors felt it was very unprofessional, having emotional attachments to a science experiment, and she was basically relocated. The super soldier program was eventually declared a failure, but she was still able to save Steve Fox's life. But after an undisclosed amount of time, she left the Mishima Zaibatsu and joined G Corporation, and this is when Kazuya had her researching the devil gene. This is when he was trying to really tap into everything that the power can hold and fully take control of the power. This is around Tekken 4 going into Tekken 5. She did a lot of good work for Kazuya. She helped him out in a lot of ways, but at the same time, while she was doing all this research, Kazuya was stabbed in the back by the G Corp executives. They tried to have him assassinated so they could take back control over the company. Kazuya did not like this, and he basically wreaked havoc on everything. This is when the daughter, Leo, comes into the picture. Leo, since her introduction into Tekken, she has been snooping around the Mishima Zaibatsu and also G Corporation trying to gather evidence. The same thing as Steve Fox, both of these characters just want answers. Where do I come from? What happened to my mother? What happened to my father? What happened to my parents? They're trying to put all the pieces together, and in Tekken 8, yes, it took them some time, but they're kind of putting all the pieces together. Now, if you circle back to the father in chapter 1, he's looking through all these caves, he's researching the devil gene, just theorizing what may have happened. I could see him gathering all of this information, sharing it with Emma, the scientist, and then these two characters possibly working on a way to maybe stop Kazuya Mishima. It really just seems like these two characters were working with evil, and it kind of just felt like they had all of these information, all of these answers. They knew very well how the devil gene worked, where it originated from, and they tried to take action. But the thing is, they didn't have enough power, they didn't have enough skill, and they couldn't take Kazuya Mishima down. I wouldn't be surprised if their research lived on though. Yoshimitsu was also exploring caves, trying to find answers as well, and it seems like he found what he was looking for. Will all of these characters in the past who've been researching the Mishimas, trying to find answers to this, trying to find answers to that, yes, they weren't able to complete their individual journeys, but just all of them putting that information out there will be collected, gathered, and then maybe that will give some kind of resolution to the whole devil gene issue, because I think it's so interesting that Kazuya is lacking that red eye. More people are starting to really hone in on that aspect and really starting to believe that Tekken 8 will be the death of the devil gene. Not necessarily Kazuya, but the devil gene. And all of these scientists and archaeologists gathering information could lead to that eventual destruction. I can see where Tekken is heading, but there's bound to be some curveballs, some plot twists, and a lot of surprises along the way. I just wanted to try to give you guys a little bit of a better understanding of who this character is in the cave, the mother, Leo, and just how all of these things may connect at the end to give us not only a complete narrative of the Mishima Zaibatsu and how they got the devil gene, but also how they may lose it. The devil gene may no longer be a part of their bloodline by the end of Tekken 8.